Good morning again. Today is day 7 of my treatment, day 8 of my cycle. It is Tuesday, October 23rd. And just want to come on very quickly to give you an update. I had blood work and an ultrasound this morning. My last one was on Sunday. It was okay. It was pretty quick. I got my follicle number again. So I think he said 9 or 10 on the right side and 8 or 9 on the left side. Or maybe that was 8 or 9 on the right side and 9 and 10 on the left side. I don't know. But, you know, similar to what the doctor told me on Sunday, between 15 and 20 total. So somewhere in that range. He said I could have more before this process is over. I was a little concerned because on my initial appointment, when I first started this process, a little over a year, almost a year ago. It's not quite a year actually. And my first ultrasound, in the very initial visit, I had like a total of 32 follicles. I was in a different place in my cycle. I think I was in a few days before ovulating naturally, and at that time I did not track my cycle at all. I just let things happen how they happen, and didn't know anything about anything, honestly. And so I don't know, but I had like 32 follicles, which was apparently a great number. And so with them saying roughly between 15 and 20, or giving me numbers like, you know, 10 on one side, 8, 9 on the other side, something like that, it made me think, well, what does that mean? Is my fertility declining or what's happening? But they said no, it's ultimately not all your follicles develop at the same time. So it's funny because I had more follicles without the stimulants. Interesting. But we'll see what happens, because apparently I'm just halfway through. I asked because I wanted to know how much longer this had to go on, but they said I'm like somewhere in the middle of the process. Today I went to the Tribeca location. I really love that location as far as convenience and quickness. And, everyone's friendly enough. Blood work in and out, no problems. Ultrasound, by the time I get dressed, the doctor's on the doors. Undressed, the doctor's on the door. So, they don't waste any time, even though they're nowhere near as busy in the morning as the Upper East Side location. I did ask, last night I started Cetrotide. That was the first time I've ever done Cetrotide, and I tried to record it. It's a little hard to record it, to find an angle to record while I'm doing the medications, because yes, my husband is involved, but I've decided to leave him out of the injections until maybe the trigger shot. He seems to be a little more squeamish about it. Whatever. And don't get me wrong, he'll be there, but I feel his nervousness, so I just prefer to kind of do it myself, at least up until that point, because that's one shot, the trigger shot, and I think I need his help to do that one. But other than that, I'm kind of solo doing the medication, so it was a little hard to find an angle to record the putting together the needles while I do it and all of that. With the Cetrotide, I actually kind of messed up a little bit, because I pinched the skin the way you're supposed to, and I injected it without letting go of the pinch, and then I felt like this like little stinging whelp that developed almost immediately thereafter giving the injection. It's a little small, about the size of a pea, and I was like, well, oh my God, I messed up or whatever. But when I went to the doctor this morning, he said that it's, the fact that I didn't release it was not a big deal, that I didn't release the pinch. He said that's fine. And that little pea shape is a side effect of the Cetrotide, or Ganirelix if you're on that one. But I'm on Cetrotide. He said that's a side effect. So I guess I'll expect that going forward. That was my first skin reaction thus far with these shots. He also told me, I asked about the manicure, and I asked whether the whether it's normal for it to sting. And he said, yes, that means you're doing it right. I'm like, okay, so I guess I know the Menopur stings. And the ganirelix might leave a little whelpy but bump type thing. But at the same time, it went away. You know, it went away really quickly. I mean, I think within the hour, it had already started to go down. And by this morning, I didn't even realize. I knew what happened last night, but I couldn't feel it anymore. So it was completely gone. So, you know, I did have a little complication with the Cetrotide, because when I mix them, it's very similar to mixing the Menopur, but when I mix the Menopur, I do it with a Q-cap. And I think I like that better than using the syringe. The Cetrotide comes with 2 syringes, a larger one, which I think is a 20 gauge, and a smaller one, I believe is like a 27 gauge or something like that. I had to double check. And you do all the mixing with the larger needle, and then you have to pull the liquid out of the bottle with the larger needle. And I had a little difficulty doing that because the larger needle is very, very long. It's like 1.5 inches or I don't know, maybe 2 inches. I don't know. It seems like it's the longest needle ever. And I had a little difficulty getting the medication to get into the syringe with that longer needle. And so, yeah, there was that. But after playing with it, which, you know, I get a little nervous about playing with these things, I was able to figure out and get that into it and get it down into the syringe, and then change the needle out to the smaller needle for the injection. And again, very, very similar in concept to the Menopur. I just wish I had extra Q-caps. I mean, I want to just use the Q-caps for this injection versus the needle, but I'm afraid of running out of Q-caps for the Menopur. So whatever. I also asked for like the 3rd time about whether it was okay to have sex during this process, and I'll keep it to myself whether I have or haven't, but I haven't. I've because I'm curious, are you supposed to? Like, you don't want to get pregnant now when you're not, you know, before they finish the process, because all these follicles are making you more fertile, you know. I don't know. Maybe I was afraid I'd end up with like 30 babies, or I'd mess something up or something. But you know, I asked the nurse originally. She said, yes, you can. Then I asked the doctor on Sunday because I wanted to know whether it had to be protected, and he said it didn't have to, and it was fine to continue to have sex up until the trigger shot. The doctor I asked today, he said, yeah, you can have sex, although we do recommend that you do not, because your ovaries are getting larger, and you don't want with vigorous activity for there to be any problems. So, although he said you can, up into the trigger shot, and then, yeah, so you can continue to do it. So we'll see what happens up until that point.